What is up, Texans fans? This is Justin. I'm the non-Texan Texans fan here. Today we're going to be breaking down all the news surrounding the Houston Texans, especially around the stadium debate, to who they met with at the Combine, their cap situation, and what we can be expecting in this upcoming 2025 offseason. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into the video. To start things off, let's talk about where the Houston Texans play their home games, NRG Stadium. Now, personally, I have not been to NRG Stadium. Now, I know most of you probably have, so you probably have a better viewpoint at this than I do. If you look at NRG Stadium as a whole, it was built in 2002 along with other stadiums such as Ford Field where the Lions play, Gillette Stadium where the Patriots play, and Lumen Field where the Seahawks play. It was the first NFL stadium with a retractable roof. And while being built in 2002 doesn't seem like a crazy old stadium, it still needs some updates to maintain pace with these newer built stadiums. For example, the NFL's newest stadium, SoFi. Now, it has been reported by the Houston Chronicle that the team is looking at two different options. One, to completely renovate NRG Stadium. This looks like a $1.4 billion investment that would go to maintaining the stadium, handling repairs, as well as improving fan experience, improving the locker rooms for the players, and other big projects like that. The other would be to build an entirely new stadium. Now, some people are speculating that the team is going to leave Houston, which is not really the case. They're saying that the team is going to stay in Houston. If they do build, it'll be in the greater Houston area. For those of you who have been to NRG Stadium, let me know what you think. Do you think we should build a new stadium, or do you think we should just upgrade what we have, improve the seats, improve the fan experience, everything? What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Next up, let's go over roster and coaching moves that were made in the offseason. Starting off, DeMeco had to make a tough call this year. He had to fire his offense coordinator, Bobby Slowick. Bobby and him came from San Francisco. They had a close relationship. I'm sure it was a very tough call, but firing Bobby was warranted. The offense was sputtering. It didn't feel like they knew what they were doing. They didn't feel like, they were changing anything. They were just running the same plays over and over and over again. With that, DeMeco Ryans hired Los Angeles Rams tight end coach Nick Caley. Now, Nick Caley, he comes with a little more reputation for creativity with his offense, utilizing the tight ends more, which is why some people are speculating that the Texans will be drafting a tight end, and we'll be getting into that later. I'm just curious to see how this is going to help CJ. How is this going to unlock CJ's potential, especially if we get more blocking up front? How will this offense unlock him? Because they've already said that they want to utilize what each player does specifically well. So with CJ, he's got a great deep ball. It's accurate. So how are we going to unlock that? I'm very curious to see what Nick does in this offseason, how he builds this offense around the talents of what the Texans already have. On the roster front, both Nick Caserio and DeMeco Ryans have been saying that the door is wide open for Stephon Diggs to return next year. Diggs is coming off a torn ACL, and it's a tough injury to come back from, even if you're not in your 30s. But being in his 30s, people are doubting that Diggs will have the same type of production. Also, with receiver Tank Dell out after suffering a gruesome knee injury. It's hard to watch. With Dell being out, I think that Nick may have the opportunity to re-sign Diggs at a price where it would make sense to keep him in the room, keep the receiver room together, while also drafting another wide receiver. I do believe the Texans are targeting a receiver. I don't know if it's only specifically a veteran receiver or if they're going to be drafting one, because they were also in on the Deebo Samuel trade. It was rumored that we were one of the top destinations, but ultimately Deebo Samuel was traded to the Washington Commanders for a 5th round pick, adding another major weapon for Jaden Daniels outside of Terry McLaurin. Now, only time will tell if this was a good move by the Texans not trading for him or if it was a mistake. Personally, I do think Deebo may have lost a step. I still think he's a very good player, but for how much money he would have wanted, I think we dodged a bullet on that one. Lastly, there's been a lot of talk about Dalton Schultz. He signed a major contract with the Houston Texans and didn't perform as well as he did last year. But with this new offensive coordinator coming in, I do believe that they will be able to unlock Schultz in a different way and maybe improve his blocking. I'm not expecting him to be the blocking tight end that we need. I think they may draft a later guy or sign a more experienced blocking tight end, or if we're really lucky, Brevin Jordan comes back. Ultimately, I do believe that Schultz will be with the team. If they cut him before June 1st, then cap hit is ridiculous. It's still like we lose $2 million. The only realistic option of him not being on the team, I believe, is if we were to trade him, but with his contract, I don't know if that's a realistic option. Now let's talk about the man, the myth, the legend, CJ Stroud. He had a rough 2024, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of hiccups, but a lot of that was not his fault. The offensive line was not consistent. The injuries to both Tank Dell and Diggs is a huge hit to our offense. But with this new offensive coordinator coming in, I think they're going to focus more on blocking, whether that's solidifying the offensive line with draft picks or free agents. Either way, I think they're going to be able to give CJ more time, because the mind-blowing thing is that he has one of the best completion stats of any quarterback in the league. So if they gave him more time to throw out of that pocket, I think this offense is going to be unlocked so quick. The other thing that they really need to do is he needs to get the ball out quicker. CJ needs to throw the ball quicker. He wants to make these big plays, and that's great, but ultimately getting the ball out quicker is going to be better for the offense and himself throughout his career. The major issue that Houston's going to run into, however, has to do with the money. Even with the NFL salary cap increasing to $279.2 million, the Texans are still only working with about $5 million in cap space. This is not ideal for signing free agents. Currently, that sits them at 25th in the league. Caserio has done very well with getting the Texans under the cap, and they can restructure people like Tunsil and Hunter to save up probably close to 20 to 30 million right there. Cutting players like Shaq Mason will also save a couple million. Even though it's going to be a dead hit against the books, it would still save some money. With that said, though, there are about 22 free agents hitting the market from the Texans, so they need to prioritize who they're re-signing and targeting who they need to sign with that limited amount of money. With that limited amount of money, I do believe the Texans are going to go after for a little cheaper options like Sheldon Rankins, who played for them 2 years before, or players who haven't really lived up to their potential that D'Amico thinks could have another shot. With the Combine wrapping up, a lot of players have met with the Texans. Now, not everywhere has a complete full list. If you go to Texans Wire or Toro Times, follow people like Landry or Cody Stutes on Twitter, they have been posting everybody that they've met with that they've heard of. Now, there seems to be a pattern between running back, wide receiver, tight end, and offensive line. They also have been meeting with defensive players as well, but it seems they've been meeting with more offensive players than defense. With that said, my ideal offseason would be re-signing Diggs and drafting a wide receiver. I personally like Emeka Egbuka. He comes from Ohio State. He played with CJ. Ohio State is wide receiver university, in my opinion. So having a player from that system would benefit the Texans. Re-signing Diggs, because he's going to be $16 million dead cap anyway. If we can re-sign him and draft a young receiver that, can teach him the ropes, grow alongside Nico while Tank Dell heals, that way when Dell comes back, it will be an easy transition. They also need to solidify the offensive line in the later rounds. Right now, running back seems okay. Joe Mixon had a great, season last year. Running back right now seems okay. I think if they can get a steal or get multiple picks for a trade or something like that where they can use one on a running back, they will. But overall, I really think they're going to go for wide receiver, offensive line as the two biggest needs. And that's all I got for today, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know where you think I'm right or wrong in the comments. Let me know what you would do with the free agency or the draft. We have free agency frenzy coming up here next week, so I am going to make a video on who I think we're going to get, and also follow along with who the Texans do sign. But in the meantime, make sure you leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and follow me for more. Have a good one.